Hello, today is Friday, August 12th, 2022. I'm Theodore Parker, and this is the Sideshow. Still recommending masks, and I think this is kind of like self-explanatory. I mean, it wasn't too long ago when we were wondering what we were going to do about COVID-19. Still had some people standing on the sidewalk with their children protesting that they were not going to get vaccinated, not going to wear masks, not going to be involved in anything related to public safety. And still we come forward, thanks to CDC and other medical agencies, with a vaccine and a recommendation to mask with sufficient numbers to back that up. And now we're in the middle of monkeypox. Again, a vaccine is available for those who have need of it, diagnosed with monkeypox. And after having come through the COVID-19 pandemic with its variants, we have vaccine for most of that. So now, here we are on Friday morning, where I'm at, being advised by China again that there's a new and dangerous virus afoot. Lanya. Although the headline reads, China sounds alarm after detecting 35 cases of new and dangerous Lanya virus, actually it is Taiwan. Another health alert comes from China, like those days back in 2019, when the appearance of COVID-19 was announced. China sounds the alarm again after detecting 35 cases of the new and dangerous Lanya virus. It originates in animals and has never infected humans before. The Taiwan Centers for Disease Control reported that the Lanya virus, officially Lanya Hinyapa virus, Lang V, has so far infected 35 people in 2 different provinces in the eastern part of the country, Taiwan. So to get a little bit ahead of the curve, that information should be of value. Eyes and ears open. Again, this is one of those hop from animals to humans viruses, as was supposed to have been the case with COVID, but market hop, etc., etc. Right after that, take it over to a human interest thing. All of us are aware of the helicopter crash that tragically cost the life of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna and 7 other passengers. So now Vanessa's pursuing this aspect of those pictures from the helicopter crash being displayed by members of the force tasked as first responders and firefighters responding to the crash site. So subsequently, there were 3 different stories involved in this morning's headlines. Number 1, LA cop gives gruesome details during testimony about Kobe Bryant crash site. And I think this was the most graphic of the 3. It seems that when he arrived, when he learned a few minutes after being called, Katz said Deputy Douglas Johnson told him that he had canvassed the massive site and he had already taken over 100 photos of the remains. So like I say, this is most graphic. It said amongst the helicopter parts, there were pieces of flesh hanging from the trees and in the grass and in the bushes. Okay? The next one still related to this court case. Pictures of Kobe Bryant's remains were shared for a laugh, our emergency services lawyer claims. So this is based on a comment by a customer at the bar who supposedly saw the deputy sharing the photos with the bartender and reported it to the sheriff's department, which got the whole ball rolling in the first place. As to the appropriateness, the propriety of that being done, why the photos were not more controlled, and all these things. But the lawyer presented a security video of an off-duty sheriff's deputy showing photos to a bartender, as well as an image of the pair laughing together, and claims the county had failed to conduct an investigation to make sure every copy of the photo was accounted for. And with all this going on, the third report comes up. As is understandable, Vanessa Bryant leaves court in tears as bartender says deputies showed Kobe crash. So in this particular one, the person on the stand said that they could not by definition identify body parts as belonging to Kobe because of the amount of burns, so it was hard to tell color. So at this point, Vanessa broke down. The judge allowed her to leave the courtroom without necessarily asking permission. 3 articles around the same subject. Vanessa has her day in court on the subject of the Kobe Bryant crash, resulting in the death of Kobe, Gianna, and 7 others. In this case, specifically, those photos being circulated. Now you kind of go over to the what us again. This is more like a social media thing. Names you may or may not be familiar with, but here it is. Judge Mathis says Asante should go after Irv Gotti for claiming sexual relationship. Judge Mathis is a TV judge. Ashanti is a actress, entertainer, and singer. Irv Gotti is a social media personality related to the Gotti family. And how the story goes is that Irv Gotti says him and Ashanti were an item, and during that time, Ashanti appeared in public on the arms of Fat Joe. So he was claiming sexual infidelity on the part of Ashanti associated with Fat Joe. Now, the updated story is that there was never a real relationship with Irv Gotti and Ashanti. So his being shocked at her going anywhere with Fat Joe was none of your business. So maybe this young man just had a fantasy because he went on to say that he couldn't be friends with Fat Joe, even though they had been friends for a long time after this particular incident. So Judge Mathis is telling Ashanti to pursue him, Irv Gotti, for claiming that. Then we might get some clarity on down the road. The next thing that really kind of caught my interest, we're kind of like in another kind of pandemic about street drugs and fentanyl and persuading the streets and things going on about people overdosing, and the government's trying to address that and provide different facilities and agencies to kind of curb addiction or at least address addiction. So this particular item came out from Kaiser Health News. Kaiser Permanente Insurance and so forth and so on. So Kaiser Health News brought up this article. They call it Trank and it's making street drugs even more dangerous. So tranq again is related to tranquilizers, and as is often the case, tranquilizers for animals. Now, it's already been cautioned about the overdosing effects of fentanyl as a street drug. Now you add tranquilizer to that for an animal, and you got an opioid mixed with some other products that is already designed as a so-called downer, adding to lower blood pressure, lower breathing rate, lower heart rate. So mixing the opioids with animal tranquilizers is dangerous. Also, because of the cautions that go along with intravenous use of drugs, any wounds or tissue damage would also be slowed down as far as the healing process and require a much more involved medical attention. So the caution is that if you're not sure or there's some ideas or whatever the case may be, two things you can go on: don't do drugs alone, and have a recovery kit available. And even in this case, the recovery kit, I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. Narcan, that's specifically related to heroin. So the response of somebody receiving that and just instantly sitting up and, with that adrenaline rush is not going to be the same if you have other additives such as tranquilizers and other things like that. So it may be necessary to add some assisted breathing to that, respiratory assist to that. I know Red Cross recently came out with no hands resuscitation, no hands cover. No mouth, just hands breathing. So all these things you got to keep in mind, because if you're going to be out there dipping and dabbing, you never know for sure what you're dipping and dabbing in. So extra caution on that. So here we are on the weekend. Hydrate if necessary. Get some sunscreen if you're going to be out there for a long period of time. I know with the state of affairs socially, you can check your local and state government websites for any activities that you have not received word of through the grapevine, word of mouth, friends, family, and relatives. So, still got some weeks to the summer left. Here we are on the weekend again. When we come back, we'll be in the middle of August. Have a good weekend. That's it. Hashtag.